University. You're with us today, and we're going to be talking about our sports psychology program. And I'm here with Dr. Alison Rhodius, who is the chair of the sports psychology program, as well as Dr. Matt Parks, who is a core faculty member of the program and in charge of, I'm not sure the correct terminology, the internship program, if I'm not mistaken. So I know you're all very interested in the program, so we're really just going to jump right into it here today. So the sports psychology program, there are actually four pieces or four components or four options that you have to study sports psychology here at JFK. You've got the certificate program, as well as the master's programs and dual degrees. So Alison, can you tell us a little bit about the four pathways and kind of the little differences real quickly?
So let's start with the certificate program. So it's a graduate certificate in sports psychology. So you obviously have to have a bachelor's. We don't really mind what your bachelor's is in, and this is designed for either coaches who and athletes who want to know more about sports psychology but don't necessarily want to practice. It'll give you some good foundations in what sports psychology is. It also has a dual benefit in that it enables therapists and psychologists, anybody who is coming in with a background in psychology already, to also get a background in sports psychology. But what it does is give you the classes that you would typically need for ASP certification that you don't already have from your psychology training.
And let me stop you there. And what is ASP?
I know you love saying ASP. So it is the Association for Applied Sports Psychology, and it's the only body in the US that certifies people for sports psychology. There's no licensure around sports psychology. There is obviously around the word psychology and the title psychologist. There's a license in psychology, but there isn't anything specific to sports psychology in terms of a license, but there is certification by ASP. So our curriculum, the master's curriculum, and is fully aligned with the ASP certification requirements. And then the certificate enables people to do that if they already have, like I said, if they already have a background in psychology, it's a nice add-on. And if they just want to know about sports psychology, it's a nice piece to do. Anything that you do in the certificate, and then you realize, you know what, I do want to get the master's, all those classes will count. You've already done them at that point, because you take them for a grade, and you would already have those in place.
Now for both, well, in the sports psychology program, all of the courses, you have the option of taking them online or on site.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
And so you have a lot of flexibility with the program.
You have a ton of flexibility, and that's one of the things that we really feel makes us unique, that the amount of flexibility that you have. So like you said, you can do it online from anywhere in the world, the entire master's program and the entire certificate. You can actually do the dual degree with the MBA as well, completely online. The only thing you can't do online is the PsyD.
Right.
You can also do it fully on site here in Pleasant Hill. Everything in our core curriculum is here, apart from some electives are online only. All the core classes are here. Or you can do a hybrid model, which means that you could live locally. You can live in the Bay Area, take some classes here on site, and take some online.
Now, one of the things we kind of jumped into is obviously one of the benefits of this, or the features, distinctive features of the program, is everybody in the program, all the faculty, are practicing professionals in this area. So going backwards a little bit, why don't Alison and Matt, we'll have you tell us a little bit about yourselves and your backgrounds in sports psychology.
Yeah, well, all my training was in the UK, and I came over here in 2000, and along the way, I've got quite a lot of consulting experience working with high-level athletes. The first individual athlete I ever worked with was a speed skater on the British Olympic team, and he was doing short track speed skating. And he was the first athlete I worked with, so it was incredible to do what we would call here an internship with somebody like that. And then the next group of people that I worked with was the British archery team. Again, elite athletes. So I had a incredible experience starting out doing that kind of consulting. And the pinnacle of my consulting for me was working at the Olympic Games with the US archery team. That year, that was 2004 in Athens. I also worked with the Indian archery team in preparation for the Olympics, and I worked with the British #1 female archer. So it was a busy year. And since I've done a lot of consulting with athletes in the Bay Area, I've had a couple of elite athletes, one very high level long distance runner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty
varied there.
Pretty varied.
Yeah. And Matt, how about yourself?
Well, what I loved about this program and a lot of the feedback that we get from students is how a lot of the professors here integrate their own personal consulting experience. And so my background is actually in clinical sports psychology. I did my clinical training at Children's Hospital in Oakland here with children, adolescents, and families. And right now I currently have a small sports psychology consulting practice here in the Bay Area. I work primarily with golfers. My niche is in golf and individualized sports. So working with golfers from all levels, from professional to elite college and also to youth and family. So pretty much incorporating some of those own personal experiences and integrating that with our curriculum is what we provide here for our students in the master's program.
Well, let's talk about the internships, which is what I know you're really involved in now.
Yeah.
Can you kind of walk us through the internship program? What are the programs, opportunities you have? Is there a progression? Those type of things.
Sure. So what I feel like the staple of John F. Kennedy University Master's in Sports Psychology is the internship program here, the applied work, and we are in the heart of the Bay Area, so we have access to a lot of diversity and a lot of different sports and great teams. The first internship that we have our students go through is typically for the on-site students, we have them go through a summer camp experience called LEAP. The first internship is typically a LEAP internship, which is what LEAP stands for, Life Enhancement Through Athletic Participation, and it's basically serving underprivileged youth. So the first camp experience is we typically go to a place called Byron, and it is a rehabilitation boys facility, a ranch. So we're teaching our students to apply sports psychology techniques to an underserved youth, a non-sport team. Basically, how to use sports psychology techniques to enhance the quality of one's life. And so we want to diversify. We really focus on diversifying and giving our students an experience of being able to apply sports psychology techniques to a wide array of populations. So we challenge them at first to focus on life enhancement through athletic participation, and then for the second internship, typically have students work in a high school adolescent type of setting, working with a team sport, and then for their third internship and fourth internship, we have them focus on like a university level or a club sport level or even individualized sport. So typically out of the 4 internships that our students must do and complete successfully in order for them to get a master's through our program, we have them choose and go out and find maybe about 1 or 2 on their own. And the beginning for the on-site students, we have these camp participations and the LEAP programs established, but we also are encouraging and equipping students to go out and market the field of sports psychology and meet the appropriate people to set up an internship site with the help of myself and some other faculty here to help them get the marketing experience of how to do the business aspect of sports psychology as well.
So one of the things you kind of mentioned a little bit, so we do have a lot of people who are taking the program online now. So if I am in Florida and need to do an internship, how do I work with you to put that internship together?
Great. So we have a lot of our students are, from all around the world actually, and so we have something called a field work prep prior to an online student's first internship experience. And so what they would do is they would take this preparation course, kind of like an orientation, and they would learn the ins and outs of how to pitch it and how to market themselves, who to talk to, how to communicate, and what to say in terms of aligning or signing themselves up with the appropriate contacts, where then I would go and talk to these contacts directly as well, and support our online students so basically an online student would go out and find their own internship, and they would get trained and feel supported in how to do that. And then once they get the appropriate contacts, then I would come in and talk with these referrals directly and set it up. And a lot of our online students, wherever they're at currently, are having a great experience, kind of the behind the scene work as well as doing the work for their internship hours.
And then while I'm doing the internship, let's target as though I'm a student, what kind of interaction do I have with you here during that process?
Great, that's a great question. So all of our interns who are doing an internship, they're required to, so I would set them up with a supervisor. So we have individualized one-to-one supervisor. So one intern to one supervisor. And they're required to meet on a weekly basis to go over whether it might be audio tapes or videotapes, or just to kind of supervise their overall experience in the work on a week-to-week basis. They're also, an intern is required to attend a weekly case class, which is a group supervision. And that's held on Wednesday nights, Wednesday evenings. And it's offered both online, so for those online students, and also on site. So they're given a lot of supervision, a lot of support. But if you are in an internship, you're required to attend that case class every week on Wednesdays. And also you're required to meet with your supervisor via Google Hangout, via Skype, or meeting them. We have supervisors all around the country as well. So we set them up appropriately.
One of the things I know we've talked about in other webinars is people wanting to come who are doing the online program, coming here actually and doing an internship here, whether it's LEAP or something like that. Is that, possible, and how do they, is there anything particular they have to do to set that up, or how do you progress with that?
Absolutely. We've had several students over the past quarters who really wanted this LEAP, their first camp experience being on site. And what Dr. Rhodius was saying earlier, having that hybrid format of a lot of people kind of starting off taking classes online, and you're before you do your first internship, you're needing some prerequisite classes. So you need to take some classes through the program, and there's a certain number of classes that you need to do before you can take your or do your first internship. So a lot of people some people may take those classes online, and they plan on coming for their summer internship for their first internship experience on site. And they travel here from wherever they are. So we had students from New York who did that, who took the prerequisite, or took the course classes, the core classes online, and then planned on coming for the summer, and they did their summer internship with us in residence.
And how long is that internship? How long does that last? Just so if someone's planning for it, are they going to be here for 2 weeks or 6 weeks, or?
So typically our camp experiences run for the summer quarter. So planning on being here for that entire quarter.
And then one of the things I always, because I can't keep track, the certificate program does not require an internship. Is that correct?
No, it doesn't. But if you need the hours, you know that you want to get ASP certified and you're ready to do the hours, somebody who has no psychology background couldn't go ahead and do the internships, but somebody with having taken our classes, you can add those on easily, and it'll include the individual and group supervision.
Let's quickly talk about one of your newest additions, which is the MA Sport MBA program. what was kind of the incentive or the impetus to do the dual degree program here?
We realized that a lot of students don't have a business background, and we thought really over the last few years we've realized we want to give them more and more of that side of it. So in our master's program, our regular masters, you will get some consulting help in terms of how to build your practice, but it's a couple of classes, and you could, as part of your portfolio class, you would also develop that, and you would learn a lot from your supervisors and instructors. But we really felt, you know, somebody might want a lot more, and so we have partnered with the MBA degree, and we're literally right next door to the MBA people. So we don't have far to walk to talk to them, and we decided to put the degrees together. So what it does is save you a year of time and money. So doing them separately would take 4 years if you did them full-time, but doing this full-time, both degrees, you'd be able to do it in 3 years.
Okay.
And get 2 master's degrees.
And the thing is, do you compromise or do you sacrifice anything with the sports psychology program?
No, I mean, you do everything in terms of ASP certification. You get all the classes.
Okay.
You still do 4 internships. All you do is instead of doing a thesis or an applied project with us, you would do a capstone project with the MBA, but it'll also be sport linked. So there's nothing really that, and our electives would count for the MBA as well. So we've managed to whittle it down and shaved off a year of both of those programs.
And you still do the 4 internships?
Yeah.
As part of this dual degree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's talk now about program that I know is near and dear to Matt, which is the dual degree MA Sport and Doctor of Psychology or PsyD degree. Now, one of the things is, why would somebody want to do the dual degree? What is the benefit to gain you?
So there are many reasons why, and that's
Let me
just
count
one.
the ways.
Yeah. A lot of times, so if one wants to work with, for example, if one wants to work with the United States Olympic Committee, they would require one to be licensed as a licensed psychologist, either in clinical or counseling psychology.
Okay.
So in terms of being a licensed psychologist just having your doctorate degree would be essential. So that would be the only way to work within the U.S. Olympic Committee, having that doctorate. So a lot of times in working with professional athletes as well, they require a clinical background. And so, you know, things such as or things along those lines that you would get training in the PsyD degree, you would get that knowledge and that degree, and also that experience of working within that context in the clinical setting, and then be able to apply it for in a sports setting.
Right.
So a lot of times having this dual degree, being able to link having a specialty in sports psychology with your doctorate in clinical psychology, it can cover 2 completely different fields, but it can be merged, and there could be a nice kind of relationship between the 2, depending on what your I guess desires are and what you actually want to do when you come out of the program, like what you want to focus on.
And the way, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is kind of, so even though the sports psychology degree doesn't prepare you to be a psychologist per se, you're not licensed to do that. So if you're working with an individual and you just have the master's, you can talk to them about performance and things like that. But if they have, like you said, a substance abuse issue, an eating disorder, something clinical, then without this degree, you really have to pass them off or refer them to someone else. This allows you to deal with the complete individual.
The full gamut of things, of the individual. Yeah.
Okay. What can you tell us? Maybe I know that, you know, we're very happy the PsyD program is accredited by the American Psychological Association, but can you kind of tell us a little bit about the program and how it's structured, the dual degree program?
Sure. So the first year, you would be doing all sports psychology courses.
Okay.
And starting in the second year, you would transition over to the PsyD
Okay.
course. So in the sports psychology program, you would be required to do 2 internships.
Okay.
And so the second internship would be a long extended internship. And then for the PsyD program, you're actually required to do 3 practicum internships, which are year-long, and also a pre-doctoral internship. And oftentimes people in the PsyD program do a fellowship as well. That's after your doctorate.
Okay.
And what Dr. Rhodius was saying, in the master's program, in order for you to get that degree, if you're just doing the master's, you would do a thesis or an applied project. However, for the link students in the dual, the master's of sports psychology and their PsyD and clinical psychology, you would be doing a dissertation at the end of your PsyD.
Right.
So you'd be doing that one huge project at the end. And that dissertation is very much research based. It can be qualitative or quantitative research, and so it can be sports related, but oftentimes people might focus on a clinical or have a little bit of both if possible. So they would be required to do a dissertation as opposed to a thesis or an applied project in the master's.
So the second sports psychology internship that you mentioned, when do you do that in kind of the cycle of things?
So some of our students are doing it one after another. So they're doing their first internship, doing the LEAP program,
Right.
And then they might do a second internship right after that, and do a longer extended internship there.
Okay.
And I know of students in the past who've come back and done their second internship while they're in their PsyD courses as well. So it really depends. A student in our program would meet with their advisor and kind of map it out and see what would work best for their schedule. A lot of our students also work on the side, so trying to fit everything in can be tough. And with the practicum, when you link over to the PsyD, you start doing your practicum experiences, the hours increase over there as well. So you're starting to do more and more hours in the clinical side portion of things. It's almost like a clinical internship. So the hours increase there, so it's harder to fit in a sports psychology internship. So a lot of our students who are link students decide to do an internship right after their summer camp LEAP internship.
Now, are there additional courses, sports psychology courses that you said you take sports psychology in the first year?
Yes.
Are there additional courses that you also take while you're in the PsyD portion?
Yes, there are. So after you take your first year in sports psychology courses, and then you link over to do primarily PsyD clinical courses, and then a lot of times in their third year or so, they would come back and complete some of the additional required courses that they would need to take. But again, it's all kind of personalized and mapped out. But there are additional courses that they would need to take. A lot of the courses what's nice about this marriage between the 2 degrees is a lot of the courses that we offer in the master's program, they're offered in a different way that fill the requirement in a clinical program as well. For instance, some specific classes
So one of the things, like the PsyD program, their application time frame is coming up right now. They have deadlines in December and January. If you want to do the dual degree, do you have to apply now to come for the dual degree?
No. So you can apply for them separately. And actually, I personally think it's the better way to go. So if you apply for the master's first, and if you get into the master's, you would have to start with us anyway in the beginning.
Right.
And you can either start in the spring or the fall. You do your first year or first year and a half if you're starting in the spring with us in sports psychology. That gives you 2 opportunities to apply to the PsyD. So it gives you 2 chances. So you would apply for the PsyD. You can do that this fall. The deadline, I believe, is December 15th or sometime in January.
Yeah, January
16th. And if you were not successful that first time around, you can apply again the following time. You can apply once a year to the PsyD. So that's an option. One thing that I'm not sure, you probably don't have it up on here yet, but starting next fall, we'll also have clinical sports psychology concentration of the PsyD.
Mhm.
And so what that is integrated from the very beginning. So you don't start off in one program and move to the other. It's all within the PsyD, but along the way you do some of the same sports psychology classes that the master's students do,
Mhm.
and then you get that concentration from the very beginning. The dual degree won't go away because a lot of people who start with us, they may not realize if they want to do the PsyD,
Right.
and so that option will still be there.
Okay.
But we're in the final part of getting that other piece approved, but it is available for people to learn more about, and then add that in if they know they want to specialize in sports psychology. That's also an option.
So with the sports special, not sure the terminology, the specialization in the clinical psychology program, will that also prepare people for ASP certification?
Yeah. It's completely aligned. It's like the dual degree, but more close. Everything's together.
Okay.
So you're more integrated. So your IPS classes, your integrated professional seminars, they'll be more integrated from the beginning. Your ethnographic placement will be more likely to be sport related. You'll also do placements which fulfill clinical requirements and also sport requirements. So there's a lot of good aspects, which is why we've developed.
Sure.
I think it's going to be a concentration rather than a specialization.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, since we've talked about applications already, applying for the sports psychology program. Now, the program, the master's and the certificate itself, they admit in the fall and the spring.
Yeah.
So the next admit is for this coming spring quarter. So you do look for a 3.0 GPA.
Yeah.
How hard and fast is that 3.0?
Well, if you don't have a 3.0, it's always worth applying, because we do take into account, some quite a few of our students have been athletes when they were in college, and not all of them have, they focused more on their sport, and that is understandable. They did really well, and we take it on a case-by-case basis. So if you have good reason as to why you're below 3.0, if something happened to you when you were at college, if you have really good letters of recommendation, we're going to look at your application.
Well, now that you've broken the ice with the letters of recommendation, what are
your segues are perfect.
I know. You're setting me up really well here. So what do you look for, or who do you look for letters of recommendation from?
Well, we're looking for 3 letters of recommendation, and ideally they all should be from academic sources. If you can't get 3, then we really want 2. And if you haven't been in academia for a long time, then there's no way that anybody's going to remember you, then we will accept them from a professional source.
Okay.
It cannot be your dad, it cannot be your uncle, it can't be your boyfriend or your wife or your dog or your goldfish.
Well, my golfing partner.
Or your golfing partner. Occasionally people use a coach, and that's okay if you really can't get anybody else in a professional environment. If you're a full-time athlete, a coach would be a good person.
Yeah, okay.
But ideally, somebody who's been a supervisor of your work.
Okay. And basically, what are you looking for in these letters of recommendation from, basically we usually tell people that apply that, what you're looking for is to make sure that they're prepared and committed to the program and ready for graduate study.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for, people who are highly motivated, who are willing to work hard. If they're online students, they have to be pretty organized, more organized than an on-site student. You just have to, there's a lot going on when you're an online student. Just show your interest, show that you're passionate. Why do you want to do sports psychology? Why do you want to do it here? Why should we make you part of our team?
Well, that's more you're getting into your own personal statement, which is now only 2 pages.
Yes.
I've corrected that. So in that, you're really looking for their own statement about personal statement of passion and commitment to this field.
Right.
So, and that, is there anything, one of the questions that come up is often like people haven't been used to writing any particular style. You're not looking for APA style.
No, not in that. Not for the masters. I know for the PsyD application, they have to do an academic paper,
Okay.
and that obviously needs to have APA citations.
Okay.
But not for ours. Ours is a more informal, but still, you know, we're also looking for the way that you write and make sure you wrote it yourself. And if something's badly written with a lot of typos,
Not a good thing.
not a good thing.
One of the things I forgot to mention or ask about is, you must have a bachelor's degree, but is there a particular type of bachelor's degree? I mean, because, obviously this is a psychology field. Some people may not have taken psychology courses,
Right.
but they're really passionate about sports and want
Yeah.
to work in this. How, should they apply, and then how do you catch up, so to speak, if you don't have really any of that introduction?
Well, the only prerequisite for the program is an intro to psychology.
Okay.
So that's Psych 101, just to show that you know a little bit about the field and know the basics of where some of the major theories have come from. We don't expect anything other than that. You obviously have to have a bachelor's degree, but we don't really mind what subject it is. I mean, some people do really well if they're coming from a business background or sociology, or we have a very varied group of people who are not only coming from all over the world, but they have different degrees. So we don't stipulate that. There aren't very many places to do an undergrad in sports psychology. So we're definitely not expecting that.
Now, the one thing I probably should mention is for the PsyD program, if they're going to do the dual degree, there are more specific courses that they're looking for as far as background in psychology.
I believe it's three.
3 different courses.
Yeah, research and stats, intro to psych, and like a diversity course.
Right.
It's 4 unless
4?
they changed it.
Yeah,
I think it's psycho personality.
Personality.
Yeah.
4.
So I think if anybody is looking to the PsyD program to start with, or even looking at it down the road, you'll want to look at what those courses are.
Right. You can apply not having got those,
Right.
but it's like you have to have them before you start the PsyD.
Right.
But if you do the dual degree,
Right.
you have that whole first year to get them in.
Right.
To get the prereqs done.
So good point. Thank you. Okay. So because JFK University is an accredited institution, we are able to offer a variety of financial aid, loans, as well as a growing number of scholarships. And we do have scholarships available for both the spring and fall quarters. And there are forms on our website to apply for those. But the first step you need to do is actually to go online and fill out your FAFSA, your free application for federal student aid, at fafsa.ed.gov. And JFK University has its own supplemental financial aid application that you'll need to complete. And if you're thinking about starting in the spring, it's not too soon to actually start, if nothing else, to do your FAFSA. So if you can do that, I encourage you to do so. And that really wraps up our session today. Before we get real close, Dr. Rhodius, Dr. Parks, do you have any kind of concluding thoughts or anything we didn't cover that you'd like to share today?
The take-home message from in terms of who we are is the applied sports psychology program. So if you know that you really want to go and specialize in a particular area in terms of research, this is not the place to come to, because you'll do a thesis or you can do a dissertation, but our focus both in the MA and in the PsyD, a PsyD is by definition training you to be a practitioner, not to be a researcher. So, and definitely in the sports psychology program, that's what we're known for. I don't think there's anywhere that does more internships than us or more hours.
Right.
And we're really proud of that. In fact, we have 113 students now in all our dual degree options. So we're growing. We're one of the most successful programs in the university, I hear. So
You're right.
That's what the president told me. So we're excited about the future, and we really think that the field itself is also growing, and there's lots of opportunities. So we're excited to be part of that wave.
Well, and particularly with just a little note, you're actually celebrating an anniversary.
We are, yes. We're going into our 25th year, so we're super excited about that. We're going to be having some events next year, and hopefully people will be able to join the team and find out all the brilliant things that we're up to.
Yeah. And Dr. Parks, how about yourself? Any kind of last?
You know, I from when I first started looking and researching this field, it has grown incredibly, and there are more and more opportunities and more ways that sports psychology can be applied in various fields, not just athletics and not just in sports. And that's what we want to be able to kind of coach our students and saying this really is applicable to life and to business. And even, you know, we're in the heart of Silicon Valley, and, you know, and startups, and performance techniques are applicable to all aspects of presentation and performance. So we have a lot of our alums who set up their private practice working with not only athletes, but performers, musicians, actors. So it's just a great field to be a part of for myself. It's been such a privilege for me to be just seeing the field as a whole growing the way it's been.
Great. Well, I mean, it's 25 years you've been around, and it is, I mean, one of the most dynamic programs in the country. And so I think you've got, you know, you are growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, having gone online, I know has been really just expanded your, you know, you're pulling students from, I know we get inquiries from not just across the U.S., but internationally. So
yeah, we currently have, I think, at least 10 different time zones that our students are in.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible where they all are. It's quite interesting to juggle all those students. And Dr. Park has the pleasure of juggling all those internships. That's his job. So that's what keeps him busy.
Yeah. Again, well, thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. If you do have any questions about the program, feel free to contact Shandi Goins at sgoins@jfku.edu. He is the academic advisor that works closely with Dr. Rhodius here, and he can also be reached at 925-969-3563. And for those of you participating, we're pleased to give you the application fee waiver code of WNQ15. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a great afternoon.